I end up swearing way too much. Maybe not too much. Fucking there's shit in it. Fucking, this will help with nerves. Rye July, that's already a shitty enough dad joke to start off.
Spicy whiskey and bad dad jokes, right?
Yeah. All right, now to fill some time with conversation on whiskey, which I feel like me and Chris talk about whiskey
All the time.
all the time. So now we have to probably try and think about the more interesting stuff that we say about it.
Yeah.
Rye whiskey, slightly underrated or maybe a little bit niche,
I think heavily underrated.
right?
But yeah.
Pretty cool gateway for lots of people getting into American whiskey, you know, because it's got probably a little bit more spice, you know, like a little bit more character and seems less sweet often than bourbon, quote unquote.
Would agree. I also think they're quite unique. It's one of those things where, you get grain whiskeys made around the world with different things, but rye is, I think, pretty distinctly North American, which is pretty cool. And also, you just get that beautiful depth, which great for cocktails, great for drinking.
Yeah.
Different, but without being too far left of centre.
Sure.
Really.
Oh, this lineup's banging. I think we've got a good combination of, broadly speaking, the two styles of whiskey that I think are most important. You've got whiskey for drinking and whiskey for thinking.
Yep.
And this Sazerac Rye, well, I mean, the best ones you can do a bit of both, but this is drinking whiskey in it. Don't have to think too much.
Unless you want to think.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to get rid of it. The Sazerac Rye, produced it by Buffalo Trace, part of the Sazerac company. If you're into classic cocktails, super famous because of the Sazerac Hotel, where the drink was invented and is sort of a staple of New Orleans. Rye whiskey, you know, became pretty popular in the States. They're growing lots of rye, lots of Irish immigrants making it, but obviously in the South and in New Orleans, you got lots of French, so brandies and rye whiskey, both pretty popular. Phylloxera in the 1880s wipes out all of the grapes in Europe, so huge shortages of cognac and brandy. Rye whiskey takes its place. It's like smooth, like really well balanced, like sweetness, and again, like almost at the end, those like slightly mentholy notes. Maybe I just brushed my teeth though.
The silly herbaceousness. It's kind of a cool gateway rye as well for me. If memory serves, mash bill is about 51% rye, so it's just enough to be classified as a rye whiskey, but still, I guess, friendly enough that, you know, if you're wanting to dip your toes in the water, it's a cool place to start.
I think all of our Kentucky-based rye will be about 51%. It's basically the bare minimum to call it rye.
It's delightful though, like orangey, a little bit spicy, but you still get that beautiful like butterscotch vanilla thing, just rounding everything out. Dangerously drinkable by itself, but yeah.
Well priced too. Sazerac Rye, perfect.
Yeah.
At-home cocktail mixing. Essentially, they say at under $100 a bottle, you got like something that you could sit and ponder and have a nice drink, or you could just slug a big one back at the end of a long day, or make cocktails with it. So.
Perfect.
Great. Is this the direction you want? Good enough? Television gold. Yeah.
I think like a little nod to like obviously Rittenhouse, part of the Heaven Hill family.
Yeah, la-di-da. Chris can do all the brand speak.
Yeah.
You know, he's got it all locked away from the years of retail. Fucking, am I pouring too much, Chris? Maybe. We can tip some out, can't we?
Yeah. Rittenhouse Rye though.
Rittenhouse Rye.
Bit of a classic coming from one of the other big, well, actually family-owned distilleries in Kentucky, which I think is kind of cool, really. They clearly have not spared any expense on the labeling there. It's,
I thought they were making it somewhere else at one point, weren't they?
Well, they had the fire in I think, 96,
Yeah.
and it kind of meant that like basically destroyed most of Heaven Hill's rickhouses, distillery, all the good stuff. So they had that split DNA thing where they were contracting out to, I think it was Jim Beam and Jack Daniels for quite some time.
Yeah.
99, they purchased Bernheim Distillery, ramped that up to be, I think, the most state-of-the-art bourbon distillery in, I was going to say in the world, in the country, let's be fair.
Yeah.
And just making really good juice out of it. This for me has always been like that archetypal rye. Bottled and bond as well, so it follows all those rules. It's a little bit older, a little bit deeper, just a wicked cool whiskey. And again, coming about the price points of some of these is just, I think, fantastic for what it is.
Yeah, bottled and bond for the people listening along at home is a whole category of rules and regulations introduced in this act that was built to tidy up the kind of lawlessness of American whiskey production in the 1800s. So people putting chemicals or even like lower alcohol but adding chili or, battery acid or something to it to make it seem hotter. Like, make it feel more boozy. And obviously some people didn't like that, especially if you were actually making good whiskey, because it devalued your whiskey. So they introduced this bottled and bond act, and the bourbon needs to be aged, or the rye needs to be aged minimum 4 years instead of 3, has to be aged in bonded warehouses, has to be bottled at exactly 50%, all of the grain from a single growing season. There's a handful of other rules, but it makes it interesting to try them because the rules are pretty strict, and the framework around it means that, it's a pretty
rigid style.
Rigid style. And so trying bottled and bond whiskies next to each other is interesting. You really see the distiller's touch. You talk about Rittenhouse, it is an iconic whiskey, and 15 years ago when I was making cocktails, it felt so hard to get rye whiskey in New Zealand. I'd be trying to make a Sazerac and trying to track it down, and everyone online will have spec'd Rittenhouse rye, or like everyone over in the UK or the States, and I couldn't see it or find it in New Zealand at all for love or money, and now we have it so readily available, so it's awesome.
So good as well. Just that slightly higher ABV, but just brings forward that spiciness, just a little more that beautiful orangey character.
Yeah, on the nose, heaps of baking spice, and then that like little bit of pepper.
Makes me think of a Manhattan from years ago that I think you might have actually made me.
Yeah. I think when you are trying whiskey all the time, right, you maybe take certain things for granted, and so trying the Rittenhouse after that Sazerac was great, because I'm all like, man, that really stands up. So fantastic.
It's just accessible. I think there's a few really cool American whiskies that you and I have both commented over time that they've just been hard to get hold of.
And when they'd first come in, you'd see them at $150 a bottle or something, and you'd like snap it up because you couldn't get it anywhere.
Yeah.
So that one bottle, or those like 3 bottles that you could get your hands on, were gold, and you'd use it sparingly just for the people that you knew would know what they were drinking. Now, as they come in more, and it's been 10 or 12 years since I got a bottle of it, and it's half the price of what I paid 12 years ago, you're all like, oh, well, there is some joy and economy of scale.
But it does mean that Rye July is going to be a good month.
Yeah, absolutely. Am I going too fast, Chris? Slow down. Maybe we should go slow on this. I taste too fast all the time, though. I feel like I got to get it in before I lose interest, Yeah. So, it's going to be embarrassing on a camera shot.
Oh, hence I got that one out.
Yeah. So we're going to pour from this one, and then we'll just have another one open.
Sweet.
Now we got some fucking juice, though, don't we? Big boy.
This is the good stuff, though. Because I remember when we first came across Pikesville, it was years ago, and they had been through the rebrand, and the bottles looked kind of like this, but shittier. And over time, they actually changed the recipe a little bit from a classic 2-year-old, cheap as rye whiskey, angry spice, but still yummy, into this 6-year-old, a little bit more graceful, higher proof, like overproof rye whiskey with that beautiful spice character coming through. Just actually super exciting to get our hands on it. Similar story, I think, to what you were talking about, where I remember the first time this came into the country like this, getting an allocation of 3 bottles, and I think you got a call, but like hoarding the rest of it.
Heaven Hill, which makes both of these whiskies, along with their bourbons and Elijah Craig and Larceny and all that, such a gem once you discover them, right?
Yeah.
Because you look at them and it's so great, but I would have avoided it for so long. And there's a heap of whiskies that I lazily avoided because of a label or something like that.
Bright yellow label doesn't just draw your eye.
It does not draw my eye in, but now it does. Once you've seen it, you can't look away. Like you say, Pikesville have made even though this isn't probably the most attention-grabbing bottle that you'll see on the shelf, they've actually made improvements to this format. It looks much nicer.
Yeah, brought in a bit more like a handmade, old school feel to it.
Yeah.
A bit of a nod to just how old the brand is.
Yeah. Oh, it's great though. It does have an elegance, and even at that high ABV, you would like, and I say, it's 5% more than than anything else here. Nearly 10% more than the Sazerac, and
Weirdly on the nose, it actually feels lighter than the Rittenhouse.
yeah,
In a pleasant way. Like it's not wanting. It's just kind of not as much of a punch in the nose.
there is an almost slightly floral nature to it. Sort of warm spice character, some slightly sort of stewed apple.
So that sort of iconic, slightly orangey kind of winter spice, cinnamon. Much bigger on the palate though. I think it's kind of, maybe it's the higher ABV, maybe it's the extra time in barrel, but weightier, but again, with elegance. Like it's not kind of not biting.
I mean, maybe it's just because we're 3 in, but the ABV certainly feels
I would think it's
like
less.
Yeah, it's less than the Rittenhouse, right? Which is a nod to how well made it is, but that's a great buy,
Oh yeah.
I think if you really wanted to be impressed, spending the extra few dollars and grabbing something like this makes great sense. Because I think that both of these are wonderful. I think if you tried these for the first time, you would feel like I kind of like rye, but if
I could get into this.
if you'd stepped into something like this, you might actually be like, oh, this is a whole category of whiskey that I'm actually ready to immerse myself in. I think this one will do that too.
These two guys here, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, like I'm making like a great hat.
Yeah, sure.
And I can enjoy it by itself as well. That Pikesville though just steps it up to the next level. And if you're looking for a whiskey to just enjoy by itself.
And yeah, perfect addition to the at-home cabinet, I think. Moorish, dangerously Moorish at 55%, I think. I would drink too much of that too quick. But I'd be quite pleasant to deal with for a short period of time, and then probably a bit of a fucking dick after that. But that's how she goes. Whiskey tasting on video, boring as shit in it, fucking lame. Probably should come in and just drink some. But if you are sitting on the other side of the screen,
That's good.
fucking better be, John.
I say warming spice, it just keeps on giving.
Yeah.
It's not like an aggressive, bitey spice. It's just kind of, just pleasantly, just warming us up on it.
Yeah.
Don't know if I should say cold winter's morning for a rye tasting.
Yeah. Breakfast whiskey, innit?
It's made from cereal.
Yeah. E.H. Taylor, again, so this is made at Buffalo Trace as well. Colonel E.H. Taylor, huge figure for bourbon in general. Obviously a military man, but making whiskey, really unhappy with the lawlessness of it, uses all of his connections in government to say we need to regulate and control this in a way that makes American whiskey in general world class, right? So
memory serves, he went to Scotland, studied the way that they had done it in a few of the big distilleries over there.
Yeah.
Tried to bring that back to really just level up the game.
So yeah, and he came back, essentially created bonded warehouses, federally controlled. So a guard sits on the door with the keys and your barrels go inside, and if you want to go inside and check them, the guard needs to let you in. That meant that when you saw these bottled in bond stickers, they're essentially a label that goes over the cork or over the cap that is a seal, and it's as good as currency or something like that. And it means that it's met all of the rules. I guess that's a huge turning point for bourbon and, American whiskey. I guess there's less pushback on it now, but 15 years or so ago, American whiskey was sort of lowbrow to a lot of people.
Especially in Hamilton.
Especially in Hamilton, but I think at that point in time, pretty globally to an extent as well. I'd find myself trying to make a cocktail or sipping on these whiskies that were a third of the price of Scotch and being like, this is good whiskey. And a lot of it is to do with the fact that American whiskey often has more regulation and more rules in place that are specifically to do with quality and style than Scotch or Irish whiskey. The way that their barrels have to be produced or around the ABV that it has to come off the still, you're not getting in column stilled whiskey really in bourbon specifically at least.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's not huge cheap production. That obviously exists, and there's lots of different nuance that I don't want to be. People online will fucking call me out for every little bit that we get wrong. But anyway, this is sure to be good.
From the man who wrote the rules, really.
On that first nose, like big hit of like quite dark honey. Buffalo Trace has been clever with their marketing, you know, and with their selection of all of these historical figures to name styles after, but they do also put very yummy whiskey in the bottle.
Oh, that's great for me. It's the elegance in the body that we were talking about with that last whiskey just steps it up again. They don't necessarily give us an age statement outside of the bottled bond, but again, it's just got that beautiful body.
Yeah.
So
I find it like slightly drier even.
as you get some cool like orchard fruits, again that little bit of spice in there as well. Kind of peppery hit, but without being aggressive with it. Like it's just kind of just a nice warming kind of tickle at the end.
Yeah.
That is a whiskey I could sit by the fire and just kind of just sit with.
Yeah, you don't want to have one of these open near you. I'm getting some of that almost marshmallowy thing that you sometimes get with some of these American whiskeys, which again, these sweet kind of candied flavors, which you know, there's no sugar in any of these bottles. There's no sugar in any of those bottles, you know. It's just perception of sweetness, right? Yeah, wonderful. It really feels like you can taste some of the grain, you know, like it's really well pronounced, like the rye character and some of the corn, like more so than in some of them where maybe the wood dominates slightly. I think that the balance in that's really good. So.
Yeah, I think deceptively complex, as silly as it might sound, where it's up front, it's rye whiskey, it's cool. But then, again, you start, you take a minute and just more of those layers, more of those flavors come out.
Yeah, it's great.
It's yummy.
How good. John, when we're done with this bit, we'll get you to fucking sit down and power through them and give us your notes. Yeah. We'll just put them in shot glasses. You just fucking whammer. I think this, it's too weird. This is just weird at the end. Oh, satisfying pop. All right, Finland. What you fucking got?
It's kind of I must admit, a distillery I don't know a huge amount about. There's been some really cool distilleries that have come out of, I guess, the block of Europe, Denmark, growing their own rye, doing some cool stuff. Finland.
This is essentially a group of lads sitting in a sauna, drinking rye whiskey, drinking American rye whiskey, looking at drunk, sitting in a sauna, being all like, Finland grows a huge proportion of rye because rye as a grain is suited to their intensely cold climate, right? Yep. And they're like, why is Finland not, plenty of Finnish vodkas and things like that, using all sorts of like cold weather or cold climate grains. Yep. Why are we not making whiskey? Yeah. And then they set about doing it. And the first lot they produce was in one of their family homes while their family was on holiday. So I think their family went away on holiday and they used like every room to just mash and ferment in like buckets and all sorts of bits, set up a still, distilled it and took their new make to London Spirits Comp and just handed it out, like cold handed it out to people. And that was the beginning. And then they went on from there.
I mean, I always think of North America as the home of rye whiskey, but this fucking yum.
Yeah. Finally, Chris is swearing. It took us 5 whiskeys, but we've done it. It's funny, isn't it? The smoke is like actually quite delicate and all the way through. There's that bordering on acrid, but the really, really classic mentholy smoke right at the end. John probably smoked menthols at some point. Nah. No. I don't believe it, eh? That fucking guy's absolutely bummed one. But yeah, that like smoker lolly, like cinnamon and menthol and do you know what I mean? And then that smoke on top right at the end.
Let's keep going back just for the nose. I'm just like, again, kind of brings me back to childhood. Like
it's just like a genuinely fun whiskey. Yeah. Arguably really new world. I think 2012 or 2014. Maybe they say on the bottle. Can't remember, but it's comparatively super young, when we're talking about distilleries that are like Heaven Hill, obviously around since mid-1930s, and then, Buffalo Trace, which whatever it was called before Buffalo Trace, rebrand, a couple of 100 years, right? So, Either way, drink any of these, you'll be happy. Come in and try all of them, you'll be extra happy. Yeah, I love that whiskey. That's great.
So good.
Oh well, drink those. Go on then. Yeah. All right.